Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
So if you're going to grace us with a story, that would be super.
Okay, I'll do this. It'll be a brief version of the story, and I'll start. Jesse will translate exactly what I do in English. A long time ago, or as we say in Abenaki,
Noat.
a long time ago, Glus Gomba was out walking around.
Noat, the talker, Pomosat.
As he was walking around, he got an idea. The idea was that he would go and hunt for some ducks in the pond he saw in front of him.
Kwani agama Pomosat, Wazonem Uli Mikawi da Honzi, Agama Udatsui, Nadi Alon, Guiguigamak, Nibasisek.
So he began to paddle his canoe out to try to reach those ducks, but as he did so, a big wind blew him back to shore.
Agama Pamibia, Wigwa Olek, Kanwa Kin Lomsen, Guagwana Agama Sinoji Wimina.
He tried this Pazok Nis Nas Yao times.
Agama Guaguazo Yo 1, 2, 3, 4 Da.
And each time the wind blew him back, he was very unhappy, so he went right to the lodge where his grandmother and he lived together.
Kanwa Kim Lomsen Mina Ta Agama Pomosat Wigwomek Udzi Okamasa.
He said to her grandmother, I want to know what makes the wind blow.
Nokamas Awani Ulito Ulomsen.
And his grandmother said, Da, Pluskomba, I don't think I should tell you because whenever I tell you something, you get in trouble.
No talker and da and Laldamo and Nia Kadihlon Kia ni Kia Paligin.
But Pluskomba sat down in front of her and said, Tell me why the wind blows, tell me why the wind blows, tell me why the wind blows, tell me why the wind blows.
Kadihlon Olomsen, Kadihlon Olomsen, Kadihlon Olomsen, Kadihlon Olomsen.
His grandmother saw he was so stubborn, he would just keep saying that, and so she told him what made the wind blow.
Uawal damwen. Udzi ali niga okamasa Kadihlon Agama Kinlomsen Ulito.
She said, there is a great bird on top of the tallest mountain. When he flaps his wings, it makes the wind blow.
Kitsi Sibs Nidali Wadzok Agama Wil Gwana Ta Ulito Kinlomsen.
Oh, ligen nokumis idak luskomba. But how would I find the place where that wind eagle stands?
That is good, said the talker. Kanwa Udzi ali Nia Miskawon Agama Kinlomsen Kitsi Sibs Ska.
His grandmother said, I'm not sure I should tell you that.
Inda and Laudamwan Nia Kadihlon Kiani.
But Gluskomba sat down, took a deep breath, and his grandmother said, all right, I'll tell you.
Kanwa agama abi ta nasa kitsinasa okamas ida Nia Kadihlon Kia.
So Gluskomba did as she said, which was to face into the wind and always walk facing the wind.
Liula damanata onlawi la guiwi kinlomsenek ta pomosa nidali.
He went across the fields, through the forest, up the hill to the mountaintop.
Agama son sasa gosa kikonek ta uadzok.
That wind blew so hard, it blew off all his clothes.
Uzomi kin lomsen agama and da uadzonem ahimal.
It even blew all the hair off his head.
Anagita agama udep konalatsi.
Yeah, I've been there. And there was the wind eagle on top of that mountain. But he could go no further because the wind was too strong.
Agama mamasagi wi kanwa anda pomosa mina udziali nidali ska watsusen.
So Gluskomba called out, Grandfather!
My home!
And the wind eagle stopped flapping his wings and said, Who called me grandfather?
Awani luihon nia mahon.
Gluskomba stood up and said, I did, grandfather. I came up all this way to tell you, you do a really good job of making the wind blow.
Agama skata ida nia pomosa yodali oziali kidi hlon kia uli toki lomsen.
But I think you could do a better job on that other mountain over there.
Kanwa and ladam kia ulito nidali pa amigan.
And I will carry you over there.
Nia intokta kia nidali.
So Gluskomba went down the mountain and took a basswood tree's bark and made it into a strong carrying strap.
Agama losa nimska wakumozino ziabazi ta ulito ni.
He wrapped it around the wind eagle, picked him up and said, "Grandfather, now I'm going to take you to a better place."
Agama kalabido ni watsusen ta padon agama.
But as he walked along, he dropped the wind eagle in a crack between the mountains.
Agama benita sin wakta sin kazigapskazo nansawiwi wadzoikok.
And said, now it is a good day to go hunt ducks.
Mikwambi uligan odzi losanadi ali guigumak.
He went back down the mountain, back down the hills, back through the trees, back across the fields.
Agama pedigo.
And when he got there, by the time he got there, all his hair had grown back, and he put on new clothing.
Tanya dodzi agama paya, agama uwadzonem uski udepkonal ta uski ahimalatsi.
And he began to paddle out to hunt ducks. But as he did so,
Monzapami bia odzi wigwolek kanwa.
he noticed it was very hot and still.
In namito uzomi kazabdao.
And there was foam all over the water.
Tawa besko al nidali nebik.
It was hard to breathe.
Onda nasa.
It was not a good day to hunt.
Onda uligiskat diwi.
So he went right back to the lodge of his grandmother and said, "Grandmother, what is wrong with the world? It's hot and still. It's hard to breathe. I'm covered with sweat. What is wrong?"
Agama pedigo wigomek udzi okamasata ida kagwila yoda linia anda nasawen.
His grandmother said, "What did you do?"
Kagwiloka.
And Gluskomba said, "Me? Nothing."
Nia onda uzomi.
She said, "I know you. Tell me what you did."
In wawalmo kia kagwila.
I went across the fields, up the hill to the top of the mountain, found the wind eagle, tied him up and dropped him in a crack.
Nia pomosa kikonek ta aspigonda wawadzok ta meskawon wadzusen ta benitasen agama kadzigapskazo wadzoikok. Ombadalamo.
His grandmother said, "Oh, Gluskomba, don't you understand? We need the wind. Without the wind, the earth is not a good place."
Kiwal tam Gluskomba in datsui kinlomsen onda wazanam kinlomsem yoaki onda oligan dali.
So Gluskomba went back outside, faced in the direction where there was no wind, and climbed to the top of the mountain.
Agama losa kwadzami mina ta logosa sonsasagosa taonlawi onda kinlomsenui.
He looked down, saw the wind eagle still stuck, thought a moment, and then called out, "Uncle!"
Agama ida inzasis.
The wind eagle said, "Who called me uncle?"
Awani lui nianzasis.
And Gluskomba said, "It's me, Gluskomba. What are you doing down there?"
Nia the talker. Kagwi kia loka nidali.
And the wind eagle said, "Oh, Gluskomba, I'm glad to see you. A very ugly naked man with no hair dropped me here, and I'm not comfortable."
Mama sagivi sanon ba benita sen nia yodali nia and da nuigondamwin yodali.
And Gluskomba said, "Uncle, I will help you."
Ta the talker ida come home indidamo inzasis nia kawizo kamo.
So he took the wind eagle and put him back on the mountain and untied his wings. But as he did so, he said, "You know, Uncle, sometimes it is good there should be wind, and sometimes it is good that it should be still."
Agama pedgi ponamen, agama nidali wadzok, ta ida sawi uwazonem kin lomsen, ta sawi onda uwazonem kin lomsen iwi.
And the wind eagle said, "Grandson, I understand."
Ta watsusen ida Gnosis inwaltam.
And so the story goes.
So the story.
Loka wongan losa.
Losa.
This is a story called The Recital. When I was a kid, I used to have to play in piano recitals, which I hated, because I was never any good at playing the piano in front of other people. Besides, things were always happening to me in these piano recitals. For example, the recital I remember the best from 7 long years of piano lessons was the one in which I played a duet with a girl named Robin Franey. Robin Franey was my best friend at the time, and she was also my partner in a duet for 2 pianos, 4 hands, called Let's Have Fun with a Fugue. Now, when I was a kid, I'd never seen that word fugue before. I know now that it's a musical composition in which different parts successively repeat the theme, but at the time I had no idea. And I'd never seen it before. I didn't know how to pronounce it. And when I went home for dinner that night, my brother said to me, "What's the name of your recital piece this year?" And I said, "Let's have fun with a fug you." And he said, "Oh yeah, well, fug you too." But we went on to play it. And, well, the afternoon of the recital was a hot Sunday in late June. The auditorium was stuffy, airless, and filled with relatives. Now, one of the neat things about playing a duet in a recital is that you didn't have to memorize your recital piece. You got to bring your sheet music on stage with you. Now, the reason for that is that, I believe, is that it's when you practice, you and your partner can start together anywhere in the piece with these numbered phrases. So Robin and I were the only ones that were playing a duet in this particular recital, so we were the only ones that got to bring our sheet music on stage with us. So that afternoon, I walked on stage. There were 2 huge grand pianos. And I walked over to the left side, and behind it, on the left side piano, this is stage left, by the way, there was one of those tall, oscillating floor fans, because the auditorium was so hot and stuffy. And it was on, and it was creating a pretty powerful wind when it blew toward the piano, but at the time, I didn't think anything about it. I waited until Robin got to her piano, and then we both sat at exactly the same moment. We opened our sheet music just as we'd rehearsed, and readied our hands above the keyboard, and at a nod from Robin, we began to play. The first few measures went beautifully. Unfortunately, when I went to turn my page, that big old fan oscillated back my way and blew my sheet music right off the piano. I just sat there and watched it float into somebody's lap in the front row. I was so scared that my fingers kept on moving over the keys, playing random notes. Kind of like one of those chickens that keeps on running around after it gets its head chopped off. Well, when I pulled myself together, I realized that I would have to get my partner's attention as unobtrusively as possible in full view of a packed auditorium. Because you see, Robin, a model of concentration, had not stopped playing. And she didn't seem to notice that I wasn't playing with her. In fact, she didn't seem to be paying attention to what was going on my side of the stage at all. So, I decided to whisper across that huge expanse of grand piano. I said, "Robin, wait a minute. My music blew off the piano." She continued to play. Well, the audience was already laughing when I went to pick up my music from the man whose lap it had blown into. I brought it back, put it on the piano, opened it up, and decided to whisper a little bit louder. I said, "Robin, pick it up at measure 23. My music blew off the piano, pick it up at measure 23. Either she couldn't hear me over the noise of that fan, or she was so scared by this time that she couldn't stop playing. Anyway, I panicked, forgot to whisper, and yelled over to her, "Damn it, Robin, wait a minute! My music blew off the piano. Pick it up at measure 23. The parents were laughing so hard it sounded like some of them were screaming. Robin kept on playing, and I was trying to pretend like I didn't just say "damn it" in front of the whole audience. When who should come out on stage but Sister Jerome, our music teacher. She went right over that big old fan and unplugged it, clapped her hands for silence, which even Robin heard, crossed down stage to the audience and glared at the audience until they stopped laughing, which didn't take long, turned to us and said, "You girls start that piece again, no more of your nonsense," and marched off stage again. It all happened so fast. She was like a miraculous vision. Robin was humiliated because Sister Jerome had to come out on stage and yell at us in front of the whole audience. And she blamed me for the whole thing. She gave me the dirtiest look I've ever received, nodded, and we launched once more into "Let's Have Fun with a Fug You." Well, when it was all over, we played it perfectly, and the audience gave us the biggest hand of the day. I mean, they really loved it. But Robin was ready to kill me. She went back to her seat, sat down, slumped down, and started to cry. I, who couldn't play the piano anyway, secretly thought it was the best recital I've ever given. It was certainly the most well-received. In fact, Robin's father captured the whole thing on film with his home movie camera. And Robin never even invited me over to see it. Anyway, that was the experience that convinced me that I had a future on the stage. Any stage. As long as it didn't have a piano on it.
Ah.
And that's my recital story.